Many people realise the importance of adding probiotics to their dog's diet, and they've tried many different forms over the years, proprietary brands, and they've wondered why it didn't work, why they were not getting the results that they were expecting. And one of the most important reasons for this is that those proprietary brands usually contains 1 or 2 or maybe 3 microorganisms in vast numbers, but they're not really matching the complexity and the integrity of organisms that a dog would normally eat from the wild, which are vast in number and native to the food that the dogs would normally eat or would eat in a fermented form. So it's the complexity and the close matching of their evolutionary needs in terms of probiotics that is missing with these proprietary forms. And we have a bit of an irony about these manufactured or proprietary probiotics. To get through that manufacturing process, they are the ones that probably the gut of the unhealthy dog least requires, because they are not the ones that will survive in the gut to produce the benefits that we require. So sadly, the manufacturing process itself cuts out the very probiotics our dogs actually require. So you have to understand that these proprietary bacteria, to go through the manufacturing process, they have to be very strong. And all the ones that your dog requires are gone. They've actually been wiped out by the manufacturing process. So it feels good, I believe, to be feeding these bacteria, but it's actually quite a useless process because it does not contain the bacteria that your dog's gut requires. So that's something you always have to keep in mind. You need to look for a way of delivering the bacteria that doesn't destroy the importance or the important bacteria, the ones that are more delicate and that cannot survive those huge manufacturing processes. What I like to see is very simple fermented foods, not something produced in vast quantities in a huge vat that has to be multiplied, just to multiply a single or few species of bacteria in a large proprietary fashion to be mass produced. What I like to see is small batch, careful fermentation that retains the integrity of all the microbes that your dog requires. And that usually means fermenting vegetable material. What we have to understand about the production of commercial quantities of probiotics is the energy source that they use. And the energy source could be something as simple as sugar and carbohydrates, something very much like processed pet food actually. Now compare that to producing a fermented food based on vegetables. You've got all those phytochemicals that those probiotics are absorbing and using and then turning into brilliantly healthy postbiotics. So this is a totally different product, a fermented food based on vegetables, compared to a probiotic in a capsule based on simple carbohydrates. Wow, what a difference. And you have to realise that difference is so important to the health of your dog. When we source vegetables to produce fermented food, the location, the soil, the topography, the climate, the background, where those vegetables came from, the health of the soil, how the climate affected them, everything about the background of those vegetables actually comes through in the fermented product. And so it's widely diverse, and diversity is very important in health. And this is one thing that the commercial probiotics can never ever imitate. And so this wonderful sourcing of vegetables from a wide variety of climates and ecosystems is all part of the health benefits that you receive when you feed your dog fermented vegetable materials, particularly made in small batches from a variety of sources. And of course, again, I need to emphasise the importance of the word diversity. When you feed a probiotic from one of the large companies that produces them, you're virtually feeding a monoculture of bacteria, monoculture, and that is not how our dogs co-evolved. So when you feed fermented vegetable material in small batches, you are feeding a huge variety and a wide variety. We don't have to identify those bacteria. They are there in healthy amounts, in healthy diversity. In fact, we don't really understand everything that they're doing. But the fact that this is the way our dogs evolved, eating this wide variety of vegetable material that's fermented, and usually, of course, from the gut of an animal that they kill, but we can now do that very similarly by fermenting the vegetable material in a similar way. We are providing what they require and what they evolved to require. So much different from those monocultures produced by proprietary producers of probiotics. So what you also have to realise is that the gut has to be widely diverse in the bacteria it contains, and it is in a healthy animal. And if you feed a proprietary brand of probiotic and you just continue to feed that and that and that, you are going to get virtually a monoculture in the gut. It's going to take over and be dominant, and that is not going to produce a healthy gut. So these are all reasons not to feed these probiotics from a proprietary company which is producing them in mass, in monoculture and on sterile food. You need to feed a probiotic mix that comes from a healthy source, and one of the healthiest sources that we can use is small batch vegetable fermentation, and the wider the variety of vegetables, usually the better. Now, a lot of people ask the question, well, can I do this at home? And of course you can, and we would encourage it as long as you do it right. And it has to be done properly. It has to be done in a way that you're not going to encourage the production of unhealthy bacteria. And unless you know how to do it properly, that can be a problem. And I don't pretend to be an expert, but I look to experts who make that sort of fermentation. And I know I have friends who ferment their own food, and that's great, and they do a great job. But for those of us who are busy, I would encourage you to look for a healthy source and of fermented vegetable material. But if you want to do it yourself, most definitely you can, and we encourage it. Just make sure you use a wide variety of vegetables and you do it properly. That's the important thing. And even more important, of course, we are looking to promote the health of your dog and the health of your dog's gut, and that's so important. My whole aim in life as a vet has been to encourage the health of my clients' animals. And so my aim has never been to sell product. My whole aim is to sell advice, good advice, and to tell people where they can go to get the help they require. And I like to make myself redundant out of all of this. I like to train people, to teach them where to go to look for healthy products. And so my aim has been a salesman for product. It's also always been an advocacy and a teacher for health. So again, let me encourage you to seek fermented products either yourself or a reliable source. So the question I'm asked is, what benefits can people expect from a whole food, fermented food approach? And the answer is health, and that's what we're after. Bright eye, activity they didn't have before, mental acuity, brilliant coats, better breath, all of those things that tell about gut health and overall body health, which stems, of course, from the gut, what goes into the gut and how healthy the gut is. And 3 months is a good period. 90 days, that's a good period in which to wait and be sure that you are getting those results. And if you wait that period, I believe from my experience and watching this happen over many years, this is what you will see. Give it 90 days and you will see a change. One of the big things I notice about a lot of people who promote health online and so on is they talk about dogs' behaviour and mental health. And I can't emphasise enough the importance of gut health, diet, fermented foods, all of those issues to mental health, to anxiety, to dogs' behaviour, to aggression, to anger, all of those things start to disappear, and we get a dog with a healthy psychological outlook, if I could put it that way, on life. It's all part of the overall health program that we're promoting through a healthy gut, through healthy food, fermented food. Mental health, so vital to the health of our dogs and to the way we live with them. A lot of people are frustrated. They've tried many different supplements to add to the dog's food to try and improve health and see nothing happen. So why is this one different? This is different because it's based on a wide diversity of plant foods. And from that, the probiotics in those, the native probiotics present in those foods are working with the phytochemicals, the brilliant foods that nature has produced over millions of years to produce what we call postbiotics. And all of those work to increase the integrity of the gut wall, to increase the diversity of the microbiome within your dog's gut. Everything is happening there that is positive for the health of your dog's gut. And once we can get that gut healthy, then we're leading towards a healthy dog. So let me encourage you to try these beautiful mixes of fermented vegetables.